Why 13? Why 13? Why? Why?
Thirteen-sided polygon found a way to embrace me. 13. Believe me, I tried. 13. Believe me, I tried. I'm terrified.
Yeah. 13, 13, 13. Now you're gonna talk, you're gonna irk me. I've been in the cut, I've been working. You've been in the rut, you've been circling. 13 steps lead down. 13 steps lead down. 13 steps lead down. 13 steps lead down. Do I have to die 13 times and it's been lucky for me? I took her to the ground, not even noticing. 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. I take pieces of my mind. 13 bullets in your side. 13 stab wounds to your head.
Welcome, everyone, to the official debate section.
This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic.
Let's get it started in here.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Incendiary. We've got Peter with us. We've got Jake with us. We've got a guest that we'll bring on in just a minute here. You know, that one by 6 Feet Under, I had a friend who was in a band like that. And it's like, dude, I can't understand a word you're saying. He's like, I know we're supposed to yell. Let's see here. We've got in the chat, we've got Peter doing double duty.
Hey, Peter.
Some guy named Kris Faction is saying, yo. We've got Stanley Orchard. Hell yeah. More Pantera. Oh, he likes Pantera. Cool. All right.
Hell
Yeah. Pantera. That was a good to find a song by Pantera to use in one of these intros. But speaking of Kris Faction, that is, in fact, our guest tonight. So let's bring him on. Hey, Kris. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me on,
Kris.
man.
Yeah, you bet. It's good to see you. We've talked in the chat a few times, but I don't think you've been on the show yet. So glad to have you for Incendiary. And what we do here on Incendiary, for the first half hour or so, we have a debate. And today's debate, as the banner said, is humanity enslaved. And what I mean by that debate is we're going to talk about, is that a tired old trope that a lot of comics and movies, et cetera, use all the time? Or is there still some creativity to be done with that? And what I'd like to do is ask you which side of that debate you want to be on.
I'm going to be on the side that it's still useful.
Okay, kind of thought so. We'll talk about why in a little while. But I'm going to put you up here then. I'll be the mediator. So you get to pick either Peter or Jake to be on your team.
Oh, well, Peter, let's team up here.
Yeah. I see how it is.
It's those Texans. They got to
Texas unite.
Side.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, guys. So, I stole Jake's thunder. Dang it. I'm sorry, Jake.
It's okay. I'm just here to be pretty. But anyway.
Good thing you're an icon then.
Anyway, Kris, you have chosen the side to say that yes, the trope of humanity being enslaved is still a good story to be told. Now, who do you want to be on that side? You chose Peter Orchard. So here's what we're going to do. Since you two are over on, well, I guess if you're looking at it, you're on the left, but Jojo, are you going to be teaming up with me, or are you going to be running the mediator?
Well, I'll be mediator mostly, but we'll see how those guys are doing. If they're getting too uppity, I might step in.
Oh, General Piggy. There you go.
Oh, General Piggy's here. Salutations. Yeah, thanks for being here, General Piggy. Okay, so let's get her rolling then. Kris, we start with our guests all the time. So if you could tell us why you feel that this is still a useful trope or a useful sort of like theme in comics or other entertainment genres. We'd like to hear how.
I think that stories change, but the core of them, there's just things that replay over and over again, and that's because we're all human. And so I think that that slavery and being used as a storytelling point in comics, or in any story, is just an expression of the human story. I mean, there's always been slavery, there's still slavery today, and it's it's something that is looked down upon, at certain times, and looked as okay at other times. And I think it's just one of those things that never leaves us, so it's always something to talk about.
Okay, that's a good point. Jake, what do you think? Is that a tired trope now? Oh, wait, before you answer.
I got tired of seeing it before Black Adam came out.
Hang on. In case Jake says something that sounds like he might not believe it, I have to do this. Okay, guys?
Disclaimer.
Read this closely. Okay, now we got that out of the way.
All those yucks out there.
Right.
But yeah, I got tired of seeing that happen when the last Black Adam movie came out. I mean, it's always the same thing. It's hardly ever put in, the dystopian futuristic style. It's always like, 3,000 years ago, blah, 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 enslaved. Oh, we got to raise him back from the dead and he'll take his vengeance out for his people, yada, yada, yada. Talking to you, Black Adam. And so, well, there's also the mummies and all that other crap. But yeah, I think Dune even did it, didn't they? And it's just, I don't know. I'm always tired of hearing about that one soldier or that one slave that's going to rise above and gather the people and cause anarchy and take down, those that reign over them. It's just, it's been done. Fuck. I mean, the Bible did it, for crying out loud. So let's change it up a bit.
Wow, there's a hot take for you.
Rudest human being alive.
Now, hold on a minute now. Wait a minute. I thought that was me.
Well, it is your turn. Tell us how you feel. Maybe
Jake, I got to say that I absolutely disagree. I think that there's no such thing as a tired trope. They're just people that I think they kind of don't do justice to these ideas, right? Sci-fi stories, a lot of them, like Star Trek, they're redone over and over. Every series of Star Trek or Stargate, they all have that episode, that does the same thing, but they tell it differently, and every version is, I think, has its own merit. They might tackle a different aspect of the idea. When it comes to the enslaving humanity, I think that there's a lot of really good ones out there. Like Days of Future Past, I think, was one of the great recent retellings with that movie, the X-Men movie. But also, we're kind of dealing with rough, like tumultuous times right now, where that's kind of on the docket. That's a fear people have, and telling stories about it is a good thing. I think people can be warned, or at least made aware of the similarities of the times we're facing. So I think it's important to have these stories out there.
I'm gonna side with Jake a little bit here, and here's how. The thing is, with these stories, and Jake alluded to it a little bit. I just saw a clip from the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe, where he stands up to the what's it?
Caesar.
The Emperor. Yeah, he stands up to the Emperor Caesar, and for some reason, I don't remember how. I'm going to have to go back and watch Gladiator, but Caesar doesn't have him killed on the spot, which is kind of contrary to what I think would have really happened.
Right.
Now, I don't know if Gladiator is supposed to be based on a true story or if it's just a dramatic retelling. It's kind of so-so. Okay.
Extremely loose.
Okay. So yeah, see, one of the things that I think that we have to be careful with is with this trope in particular is giving the people unrealistic hope. I mean, there is let's talk about Hunger Games for a minute. In a sense, that whole world, I don't know if that's supposed to be a future Earth or whatever, but that whole world was enslaved by the rich elite and forced to participate in those Hunger Games. And there's this one, you know, no name hero who suddenly comes along and stands out. But the thing is, if you look at all of the other characters at the very beginning of the first movie, there were a lot of very athletic, very powerful, very well trained opponents for her. And yep, that makes her the underdog. And yes, that means we're rooting for her. I understand that. But the fact that she would somehow stand out from that crowd is just that. It's the unrealistic expectation that the untrained nobody is going to be able to come up and dominate all of those that were like trained from like infancy to do exactly that.
Talking to you, Ray.
Well, she also had, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
training, but
Ray
like hunting
Skywalker.
skills, I
Yeah.
guess would be the argument there, but it's not a good argument. But
Well,
'cause-
there's some merit to it, Peter, because yeah, she's got a. At first, you might say, well, she wasn't really hunting people, but she was hunting moving targets. So there's that.
yeah. And I mean, it's all again. The story of Moses, the story of Spartacus. It's a retelling of a story. And it still hasn't gotten tired. In my opinion,
Story
I
of
think we need to
Conan.
keep Conan. We got to keep telling this story.
Yeah, no, if I remember, season 4, season 5 of Clone Wars, I want to say season 4, is when Obi-Wan gets captured by the slavers, and that's like Yoda says something at the end of that episode where he's essentially saying that as freedom dies, slavery rises. And so I think that it's especially right now with the world the way it is, I think that it's in the front of people's mind, that this could be a reality for some. I mean, you think about like just recently, I say recently, back during the Obama administration, Libya was liberated, and now they have open slave markets.
Oh, jeez.
And
It's so good.
who saw that coming? And yeah, so
Yeah, I was getting ready for zombies, and all we got was more slavery.
yeah, right.
Tomato. But
So Stanley, damn it, you beat me to Ray and the Bible joke. 2 points, but I'm not giving up yet. Everybody wants to root for the underdog because we all feel like the underdog. That doesn't change. Oh, very good point.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we all want to believe that there is a possibility that the underdog will rise and overcome whatever it is they're facing. I mean, yeah, we're not, in my own life, just to use myself as an example, I don't feel like I'm being oppressed by anybody. I don't feel like I'm enslaved in any way, but I do feel like, stress is getting down on me. So, I feel in some ways that I'm an underdog. And yeah, you're right. We all want to root for the underdog in those stories, in those fables, in the movies and books that we read, comic books, etc., because it is our escape from the doldrums and stress of our reality. And escapism entertainment is what this is all about.
I would say something about the underdog. That's just if there was a point on the other side to be made about that is, I think the one problem with the underdog idea is that everybody waits for that underdog. We all feel like the underdogs. We all want to see an underdog rise, and that could be a tired trope because when is everyone else going to do something? Why is everyone wait for the underdog? We're all waiting for Donald Trump to come and do something. Or I don't know, the other side's waiting for a world government or whatever. You know what I mean? Like everybody's waiting for their champion.
Well,
come and
I'll tell you
save.
why. I'll tell you why people wait, but you ain't gonna like it because everybody's a pussy.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
I agree with that.
it's well. Here's what it is if you look at really any uprising in history, it takes a few very dedicated and disciplined people to bring it to a success. And even then, success isn't guaranteed. I mean, Spartacus, for instance, I mean, if the first time he came close to Rome, if he would have marched in, he probably would have caused enough chaos that Rome would have fallen at that time. But ultimately he decided not to, and he ended up losing in the end. But then you
Spoiler
have
alert.
yeah, right. But then you have say the American Revolution, where you're under the thumb of an oppressive government, and a handful of, and it's usually young men with solid mentors, and that's really the story of how this country started, is a bunch of young men that looked at their future and said, yeah, it's not going to be good. I think if we do this hard thing, we can make it better in the long run. But what it comes down to is all these people not only had vision, they also had some training. And I think that's key in telling the story. If you end up with some Ray character that has no training, and then all of a sudden they're shooting lightning and stuff, and you're like, what? Like what? How you do the Jedi mind trick? You don't even know what you're doing yet. Like that's just poor storytelling. It
There's
nobody's
probably
gonna
there's
go ahead.
probably less lobbying for their pockets too.
You know,
Yeah,
She-Hulk was like that, the television series. I think that, Hulk is trying to train her, and all of a sudden she's better than him in everything.
yeah.
Better at balance, better at strength, better at just everything.
I like
It's
the
like,
meme where as she's bitching about women and being, persecuted or whatever,
uh
it like focuses on Hulk, and then it kind of flashes through all the shit he's been through, and then it cuts back to
yeah,
her like bitching about how she gets hoot and hollered at every day.
right.
And she's like, "You don't know what real pain is."
If you go back though and understand that they were trying to troll us, then you kind of understand what they were doing there. But yeah, it's still, I think it was lazy writing.
Yeah.
I think it's a double speak kind of. They may be trolling us, but on the other hand, they do want to kind of put the idea in your head, anyways.
Yeah,
Oh, but it's
that's
just a
true.
troll. It's just a troll. You know, I think that's what they were doing with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And you
got to
know
do
what's? Oh, go ahead, Dojo.
I got into a conversation online the other day. Thankfully, it didn't turn into an ugly thing. Somebody was talking about our current day government, and it shouldn't be this way. And a lot of us feel this way. We should rise up. I said, well, the reason we're not is money and power. And he said, well, money and power shouldn't be enough against millions of us. And I said, well, go ahead and get it started.
Yeah, quit your
Well,
job and
that is kind of the age old thing. Like, why do oppressed people, or people that perceive they're oppressed, or whatever, they have irreconcilable differences with the the people that rule over them. Why don't they rise up? And the thing is what it comes down to is you have to organize, and organizing is loud, and being loud draws attention. And once the attention of a more powerful foe is upon you and realizes what you're doing, it just comes and steps on you like that. And then, there you go. So you
well, there's
have to,
also a level of comfort, right? We're all
oh,
fairly
yeah.
comfortable living over here, and if you have your people comfortable just enough, they're not gonna stand up and revolt. When you look at the founders of the country, they put the lives of their family and their children on the line to make this country, the United States and not England, to separate, right? they put everybody's lives on the line when they did that. Nobody's going to do that now because we've got, our Netflix shows to watch. And I don't want to, I got a credit to pay off, and nobody's going to jeopardize anything anymore because they're comfortable.
That is also, historically accurate too, is, a comfortable society isn't a rebellious society.
No, we're complacent.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Complacent. We got
well,
video games.
The thing is, we have fat homeless people in this country. We are so beyond complacent that I mean, this has never happened in history ever.
Until everybody learns that we're a little taxed too much, I don't think anything's going to happen. Until they learn that taxation is theft, I think we're all going to stay here and enjoy our cheeseburgers.
Can you imagine if they knew what people were going to be taxed? Like they were mad at like pennies, and we get like major chunks, almost half of your paycheck.
Here's the thing. This is the where the government got, nefariously intelligent for, that's one thing that they can do when it comes to taxes is, so back then you were paying the tax directly. You were someone, the tax collector came, or if it was, like a tariff on a good or something like that, then you were watching the money leave your hand. Well, now the way they do it, you never even see that money. If the system was, we're going to keep the tax code exactly the same, but you have to pay your taxes every single Friday when you get your paycheck, yeah, you would see taxes get reduced very quickly.
I have said for a long time, I was in an accounting firm for many years, and I've said for a long time that the fact that we have a graduated tax bracket is criminal because we are punishing those who succeed. I think that, people say, yeah, but the rich should pay more. Yes, they should pay more, but here's the thing, they should pay the same percentage. If you're paying $100 tax because you only made 1,000, but then I'm paying 100,000 because I made 1,000,000, yeah, but it's the same percentage. Therefore,
I'd be happy with a flat tax. That'd be perfect. Get the fuck out of my pocket.
You're talking about like getting rid of like tax brackets.
Yeah, the tax brackets, the graduated, because the better you do, the more of a percentage you pay. So you're getting more and more penalized the more you succeed. Of course, until you reach the upper echelons, and those people have 1 billion tax avoidance loopholes, et cetera, not evasion, but avoidance. Avoidance is legal. So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. And check this one out. Stanley's right, too. There's an automatic draw of tax, which is what Kris was talking about. And if they get it right, they gift you with a return and you feel blessed. A lot of people use that as a bonus at tax time. They like, oh, I got my tax return. I'm going to go on vacation.
To me, because like if we were educated properly, you would be angry about your tax return. They held your money and didn't pay you any interest for a whole year.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's crazy.
And like a lot of people don't understand when I say that the ideal, if you have to be taxed, the ideal is to break even, owe them nothing, and get no return.
Right.
Right. But a lot of people are like, no, I use that tax return to go on vacation, or I use it to buy what. It's like, no, dude, if you had that money in your savings account, you could do those things.
A little bit extra, just donate, and then you can have a tax write-off, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a taxation is theft guy. I do think that, like, Benjamin Franklin was right. Death and taxes. I got it. Doesn't mean I have to accept it as, a proper thing or whatever. But there are ways to gather tax revenue that are not just straight up like, give me all your money. I mean, excise taxes, real excise taxes, not what they call excise taxes nowadays, but the whole thing of like, I go and pay for a service. That's, what the founders kind of thought of. Yeah. I mean, Thomas Jefferson, he was like, no domestic taxation, you know, at the federal level or whatever. You know, he was like, "Oh, we should just do it with, you know, tariffs and, you know, that takes care of course, they also didn't believe in things like a standing army that just constantly gobbles money up, you know?
Right. Yeah, you know, the thing too about taxes is that they were instated to help us pay for a war, since you're talking about an army, but they were meant to be temporary.
Yeah.
They were meant to just pay for that war and then end.
Yep.
But the government got too comfortable with it and like, ooh, hey, look at all this money. Let's do this with it. Let's do that with it, etc.
Oh man.
You know, I didn't read the books, but I wonder if the Hunger Games. It seems like it would have been more sense if they, because it wasn't in the movies, anything about taxes, right? They're just in these groups where they have to work and they figure out money and stuff. But do they ever in the book? Anybody read the books? Do they talk about taxes? Because that would be a way to keep those people in. Like this is supposed to, like American, right? American.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a dystopian,
Future.
Yeah.
So do they talk about how they keep everybody in check with taxes or with money? Because it seems like that would make more sense than, and then I don't know if that would like you get a tax break if your kid is offered up, you know, into the games.
I don't know that
because I don't understand how that would fly. And the story's supposed to be somewhat realistic, I guess, but yeah, I wouldn't let my kid get offered up for as a sacrifice, you know, for
well, see, the thing is though, if you were to rebel or, you know, push back on that, they would just crush you with their military force.
Yeah.
Stanley read the books. He says the taxes were part of the votes for the kids going into the games.
So if you didn't pay enough taxes, your kid would be more likely to get drawn. Is that it?
Oh,
I don't know. Like in the way
awesome.
I was understanding it, they pulled the name out of a jar or something.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Or was that how many times your name would get put into the jar based on how much you got taxed?
Multiple. Yeah,
that would make sense.
There you go. Yep, you got to hire.
You know what we need is when it was done right. We just need a hero that goes backwards in time to go prevent the Sentinels from ever even being created.
Now, who would ever think of that?
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
That's a story.
Never heard of that.
See, the more you paid the
less chance.
The less chance of going to the game. I think he was typing a little faster.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Cut back on the scotch, Stanley.
So let's take a step back here. Why are we talking about humanity enslaved? By these various ways. We've got by power, by money, by the government taxation, but humanity enslaved is part of the storyline in Kris's book, Nano-13. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at his campaign. It is on Fund My Comic. I have it up on the screen now. So just so you guys know, now that I'm looking at it on my screen, I can move it and things, but I can't see the chat or anything. So keep me up to date on what's going on in the chat, if anything.
That's just Stanley rambling.
Okay. All right. So then let's turn it over to Kris. Kris, you drive it. I'll just follow your direction on what you'd like to look at next. In fact, let me ask you this. Do you want me to start with the trailer?
Yeah. Let's start with the trailer.
Okay, let's do that.
Everything's going up in flames, and the world goes in decay.
right. What did that say? The music was by the Order of what?
The Order of the Fly.
The Fly. Okay.
Yeah, they're good friends of mine. I toured with them back in 2009, and we've stayed friends ever since. And
Oh, very good.
their front man is actually he was originally going to do the trailer, and then he came down on deployment orders. But when he gets back from that deployment, he is going to put out his first book.
Oh, great.
And I've seen some of the concept stuff, and it's pretty neat.
So
I gotta
when
tell
he's
you, the
ready
art
to
in
do
this
that,
book-
have him reach out. Sorry, Jake.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to say the art in this book is phenomenal. I absolutely
Yeah,
love it.
man, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's Ron Masicki. He did a fantastic job. He once he read the script, he really just kind of fell in love with the story, and we like we had this synergy. I mean, he understood the world that I was trying to build with this story, and really took it to the next level. I mean, it's fantastic. I couldn't be.
Here's some of the interior art right here. And just look at the detail. I like the panel layouts here with all of the insets. It's
Mhm.
like this panel with the big building in it is itself an inset into like the entire page here is like it's cool that this is an inset inside this one huge panel. I like the panel layouts.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't see this kind of layout that much in the indie scene. Like this is very nicely thought out and planned out. I like it.
Yeah, that city there looks freaking awesome.
Oh, wait till you find out what it is.
Oh, okay.
So you've only got 8 days left to go.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
It does Fund My Comic have like an in-demand type of deal?
Yeah, they have a it's called storefront mode. So
Storefront?
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll
Y'all
change
gonna-
over to
Are y'all gonna
yeah,
do that?
yeah, it'll change over to storefront mode once the campaign's over. And then you'll be able to get it on demand. I actually I'm doing my fulfillment through Critical Blast.
Oh,
And
RJ's good. Yeah.
RJ is fantastic. So they'll be handling. They're actually taking care of the printing as well, and so they'll be taking care. So all I got to do is send my my list over, and then they will be getting the stuff out.
Speaking of which, I'm sometimes hesitant to ask this question because people have various takes on what the right answer is. But whatever your answer is the right for you. Is this book partially complete? Is it complete? Where do you stand on completion on this?
It was 100% complete 2 days after the campaign started.
Awesome. Okay, so that means then that when you and you're already you're funded, so that's awesome.
Mhm.
Hang on, I just heard a noise in my ear, which means Fanta is here. Hey,
Hey,
Fanta.
Fanta, what's going on?
Fanta.
Hey,
About time, girlfriend.
I'm so sorry. I was
Was
doing
this
a
like
video and I'm like, it's 7 o'clock. So I looked at my thing. I'm like, no way.
I thought
sorry.
maybe you wanted to make a dramatic entrance or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you missed our debate earlier. I think had you been here, Jake would have won because you would have helped, but Jake had to take them on all by himself. And
And then we
Jake
won.
against two Texans. What can I tell you?
Yeah, it's
We will
true.
always win. I mean, almost always. This counting the Alamo.
There you go.
Whatever. You guys needed the handicap, and you know it.
So, Fanta, we are looking at Kris Faction's campaign on Fund My Comic for Nano-13. We were talking about the art, and we were talking about right now the fact that it's 100% complete. It's funded, and it raised its funds in 1 month. And it's got 8 more days to go with 102% funding, which is awesome. I'm glad to see that. 33 people giving it a chance. So, Kris, we'll look at the tiers in a moment.
Yeah.
I like how simple they are, but let's talk first about, tell us about, like here, I have it on the screen. Tell us about the storyline.
Yeah. So 3,000 years ago, aliens invade Earth and enslave mankind. And fast forward to quote unquote modern times, the world looks a little bit different than what you would think. There was no Colosseum built. There was no Statue of Liberty. You know,
Oh, so when you say 3,000 years ago, you're saying take it
the
3,000
Bronze
years
Age.
back.
Yeah, yeah, the
And
Bronze
then,
Age.
okay, gotcha. I wasn't sure if this was like in the future, the Xeris come and rule for 30,000 years. You're saying this is another take on Earth if they came 3,000 years ago. I
Yep,
gotcha.
yep, yep, yep. And so at this point, humanity is all but completely subjugated. It's like the most dystopian world you can think of. Male slaves are bred for specific jobs, and you'll never guess what female slaves are bred for. But you know,
Helping make the male slaves.
Cooking.
correct. And that building in the double page spread up there is actually a breeding farm, and that is where the slaves are made essentially. And
So this is
so,
like the presidential suite up here or something.
well, it's also it's filled with laboratories and things like that, and
Okay.
we'll get into that, because the villain is his title is the breeder, and he's in charge of just guiding the DNA of humanity to make sure that they're bred for what their job is. Things like uh, in this story takes place in Europe, and the the Zerus don't allow ethnicities and races to mix at all. They keep everything. They're very pro segregation, if you will. And each continent is used for a different purpose. Europe is small arms manufacturing for the Zerus armies fighting their eternal enemy somewhere off in the cosmos, and so these characters, they started off as slaves. They were all born as slaves, and so they built weapons, so they kind of know their way around them a little bit. But they've been freedom fighters for a couple of years when the story starts, but they've only had their powers for a few weeks, so they're still kind of learning how their powers work, and it's all nanotech powers. So they're each individual, it affects them differently, and they have kind of a general baseline of like your heightened strength and agility, healing, and things like that. But it enhances one or two attributes of the individual that kind of gives them their separate powers that distinguishes between each one.
So when the Xeris came to Earth, did they come here randomly because they conquer everyone, or did they come here specifically for our resources?
For our resources. So when the Zers first landed, I had to write this whole timeline thing, and Ron keeps telling me, you're holding stuff too close to the chest. You can tell him about all the timeline stuff. It's not really spoiler. It's just explaining the world. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So when the Zers first arrived, they were much like the Romans. They were like, we have our society. You keep doing what you're doing. Just don't get in our way. But slavery became a thing. And eventually there was a major slave rebellion around the 530 AD era. Justinian, you might know him from real history, leads a slave rebellion that causes problems, and the Zerus bring the hammer down on humanity after that. and that's when these kind of super dystopian measures start to get implemented.
So they come at us, they must have come at us with a higher uh, level of technology in order to just, well, first of all, for interstellar travel,
Oh
but
yeah.
second of all, to dominate us like that. So it's funny to me, funny, odd, not funny, haha, that they need us to manufacture small arms.
Well, that's the thing is at this point, they humans have been their slaves for quite some time. So, they would rather have their because they're super into like eugenics and they talk about like purity of bloodlines and things like that, even though they're constantly experimenting on themselves. The Xeris are an insectoid race, but you'll see that some of them don't look specifically insectoid, and it's because they'll take from other species and add to themselves, and they contradict themselves in that way, but they they don't want to sully themselves with grunt work. Essentially, it's more of a pride thing, you know.
Okay. So you talked about this one in particular being set in Europe, and that's where
Mhm.
they're making the small arms. Do you have any plans to write the story of what's happening in Asia, Africa, etc.?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Okay.
After issue number 3, the story will branch off into several other titles. The first one that you're going to get is just going to be a one shot, but you'll get to see a little bit of what's going on in South America in that one. And the Zerus, their number one weakness is the cold. So if you're human and you live, say, Scandinavia, you you're essentially just living a free life. Just don't wander out of the area that you're in. You know, and so we'll touch on that a little bit, and then the 3 ongoing titles. One takes place in North America, one takes place in Asia, and one in Africa.
Okay. All right,
And
those will all be very interesting, I'm sure.
yeah, they get pretty wild. It's
How
you know
many have you already written?
I have written 6 issues of Nano-13, and then the one shot, and I'm gonna have other people write the spin-off stories, just because I want to see what somebody else does with my playground, and I want to stay focused on the main title because it is going somewhere, and I have a lot to cover.
So have you already selected writers for those?
I have talked to writers. I have Dave Brink and Mark Polton in mind.
Oh,
Oh,
And
well, if you're gonna pick
yeah.
some, you've picked some of the best right there. I was gonna
right,
I was gonna throw my hat in the ring, but if you've got those 2.
Yeah, Mark he Bolton, isn't he editing this book? I thought I saw
Yes,
his
yes,
he
name
does.
somewhere on this.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Nice. That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Where did I see that? It
It's
was up
been
here
great.
someplace.
It's down there somewhere. Um, yeah, he has been fantastic. Has helped me, taught me, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've learned a lot from, just, I mean, even just his editor's notes. Just seeing like, oh, this could be done a little bit differently, or maybe take this out and replace it with this, and yeah, it's been awesome.
Great. It's good to have a mentor like that. He's
Yeah.
been around the block a bit, having written for DC.
A little bit, and I have Jay Brown on colors, and most people know him from GI Joe, but most recently he colored Yaira.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was excited to have Jay Brown, and his colors are just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they really do stand out. I like the contrasts that he uses.
Yeah, And as far as the like both Ron and Jay Brown, I am not an artist. I am like, you guys do your thing,
Hashtag just a writer.
and I mean,
Writers
like,
always matter.
yeah, like I think, I mean, I like that Romita Senior way of doing things, where the artist is the final storyteller, and I don't want to get in their way.
Absolutely. I've said that a number of times on this show, that the artist is just as much a storyteller as the writer, because I could write pages and pages and pages, but it's up to the artist to take some of that and make the words unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, that's one thing that Ron, told me in, he also did the lettering. He was like, you keep your dialogue like short and sweet. It's to the point. I like that because, then we can focus. And Jay Brown, like, best compliment I've gotten it was from him, where he was like, it's simple as, I like this book because of the action. When the guy that used to color G.I. Joe says he likes your book for the action, that is one hell of a compliment.
Yeah, that is high praise, you bet. And one of the things that I learned when I was learning about writing comics is you need to have no more than 20 words in a panel. And sometimes even that's too much.
Mm-hmm.
Because any more than that, and it's too wordy, or you're going to cover up some of the art.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to do that.
Yeah. So what do you think backers
go ahead,
are going to be? Yeah, when do you think they'll be getting their books? Will be shipping?
They should by May.
By May, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could get it pretty quick.
We're already halfway into April, so that's great.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for like a big like shebang at the end here for the 8 days?
I actually don't. So I kind of had this lull in the middle of the campaign because of my job.
Yep.
Easter gets just way busy where I work, and then also we had this eclipse thing, if you guys had heard about it, and my local area turned into weird, like, just people descending from all over, and so like I was kind of just focused on work or whatever, and unfortunately that kind of put this on the back burner when I needed to be doing it. But I was like, so yeah, I'm just trying to get on shows, and I don't have any big closeout plans or anything.
I wish I had someone to suggest. I would have in the past suggested closing out on Michael Bancroft's show, but Michael doesn't do closeout shows any longer. He just does launches.
Yeah.
Do you have a channel?
So I don't personally have a channel. I am a co-host on the Friday nights, which is on Mad Ruth's channel. It's every Friday at 9 Eastern.
Hey, is that in my YT guide? We need to see. You need to send me some info on that. We'll see if we can't get that in the guide. It used to be called, I'll just say it. It used to be called the CG guide. And
yes.
Going to step away from that a bit. We're going to call it the YT guide, standing for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And just because it's not specific to any group of people, it's anybody who makes good comics or has a comic related show is welcome to be on that guide. And I have it on my website. So yeah, let's see if we can't get that added. I just had someone else make an edit to it. So we'll get that added before I go live, or before I update it on my website.
Wait, are you telling me the CG guide is open now? I'm taking it. I'm going to do an even bigger, better CG guide.
Really?
Just kidding.
I'm like, okay, good luck. That's a lot of work. Okay, so let's take a minute now to have a look at the tiers. And one of the things that I noticed immediately, pardon me, is the simplicity of this. And I got to say that you may not have meant for it to be, the reason you did it wasn't necessarily to buck the trend, but I like that you've got the $20 hardcover, or not hardcover, hard, copy,
Mhm.
the 42 pages. So, and before anybody asks, it's 42 pages, full color, right?
Yep.
One copy of the book, period.
There you
And
go.
28 people went that route. And then you've got a backer who chose the $100 shipping, the retail pack, 6 books for the price of 5. So you get a price break there.
Mhm.
And then there was, it was original art and it was
Yep.
sold out. How many pages did you have up there for original art?
Just one.
Just the one? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about making any more available, or you want to hang on to them?
I leave that up to Ron. He does digital, so he did pencils, traditional pencils with one page,
Oh,
and
okay.
I told him, I was like, do as many traditional pieces as you want, and we will put them up there. And so this time we did one. Next time we'll see.
Okay. All right. So that part sold out. Somebody grabbed that up right away. I mean, $200 I think was a pretty good deal for one of these pages.
Yeah.
So good on them for grabbing that. But yeah, so those are the tiers, folks. You've got the get the book or get 6 of them.
Hey, what are your thoughts, Chris? What are your thoughts on digital? We've had this conversation a few times, and there's always mixed feelings on digital. Is that something you might consider?
It is something that I might consider. I just honestly I didn't even really think about it, because I'm like, I yeah, you get a comic book, you hold it in your hand, and it just didn't cross my mind. But yeah, digital,
Well,
especially when it comes to when you start getting international backers,
yeah, I was going to say if
digital
you're thinking
preview.
about asking Dave Brink to be involved, he's a great example of
Yeah,
somebody who sometimes wants the digital because the shipping is just crazy to the Netherlands.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Plus, on a second, like on an issue number 2 or something, a catch up tier or something
Hmm.
might be. Or even was it Mike Barron said something about a preview, a digital preview or something for backers last week.
Yeah,
That's a
I've
neat
heard.
idea.
Yeah, I've actually backed a few books that have had digital previews, like the first few pages or something like that, and yeah, so
Cerebral
digital is
was cool.
definitely on the table.
That's cool, man. I like. I mean, I'm not a big fan of digital myself. I like the physical copy, but backing, backing. I guess maybe I could see the argument with like a big campaign or making
Hmm.
like hundreds of thousands. You have that digital tier, and I guess it goes on the internet pretty quick. But when you're getting started, you kind of want to get out there as wide as possible, right? I guess that's kind of where
Yeah,
I'm at on it.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
one of the things I
completely.
always think is if somebody likes my book enough to pirate it and put it out there, one, that's a compliment. Two, that says, that speaks highly of the book itself. And then three, like Peter just alluded to, more eyes on it. They might come back. They might say, okay, well, that first one that I grabbed off the internet is pretty good. I'd like to see what else they have to offer.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree there for sure. I just I mean that's when we get to issue number 2, I do want to have some more offerings. Like we'll probably do a digital tier. We'll definitely do a catch up tier. I would like some trading cards in there. It just like I said, it being my first campaign, I really wanted to, just minimize everything, just keep it basic. And I mean, I guarantee once you get the book, if you're into alien sci-fi stuff, you're gonna like it because it's freaking awesome.
Well, alien sci-fi, you've got the underdog story that we were alluding to earlier. You've
Hmm.
got the art of, how do you say his last name? Maseki?
Masiki.
Mosicki. Okay, got art of Ron Masicki, colors by Jay Brown. The fact that he was the colorist on Yaira and GI Joe, that's pretty awesome. That's a good get to get him on the book.
Mhm.
You've got edits by Mark Polton, and you know he's like Kris was saying, his input helps the book probably even more because you know when you're real close to it, when you're the writer, sometimes you overlook things or you make a leap from point A to point B that the reader doesn't know how you got there. It's because it's in your head. You know how it got there, but
Mhm.
sometimes you need help to get them there too. So, so Kris, is there anything else you want to say about the book or about fulfillment or anything before we wrap this up?
No, not really. I mean, you know, fulfillment will start very soon after the campaign ends. I actually met with RJ and George a couple of nights ago, and we got all that stuff worked out. And so, you know, yeah, back it, enjoy it, and once you get it, give me a good critical review. You know, I want to see how I did. It's my first book, so I'm very much like I want to hear people's feedback. I want to, you know, sharpen my edge and hone the craft.
And that's a sign of a good writer who wants the constructive criticism so they can do better next time around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, it was a great debate with you, Kris. Thanks for coming on and having us take a look at your project. I hope some people who haven't backed it yet take a look at this stream and give it a chance. I know that a lot of people are watching this on the replay. We want to thank those of you who are here live and those of you who watch us on the replay because we know you've got lots of choices. We appreciate you being here. Next week, we're going to take a look at Blood Realm. Robert Geronimo will be with us, and I'll try not to be too salty about the fact that his character beat out mine to be the last card in the Iron Age Icons trading card set with Adam Miller. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll talk to Adam Miller and I get to whine at him for a while about it.
Nice.
So yeah, join us next week on Incendiary for a look at Blood Realm, which is on its 14th issue. That's some serious dedication right there.
That's
Sounds pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, everyone.